everyone, welcome to another review. This time we're going to be doing the 2006 TV cartoon movie based on Mike Mignola's popular Hellboy character. This one's called Sword of Storms. Okay, Sword of Storms is the story of how there was once a Japanese, there were two characters harassing two Japanese demons, one named Storm and one named Thunder, and they were terrorizing feudal Japan. The person in charge of the land decided to give up his daughter to the two demons in the promise to leave his countryside alone. Of course, his daughter didn't want to be given to the two demons, and a samurai emerged who was also in love with the girl to fight to fight the two demons. He eventually defeated them with the sword, which would be called the Sword of Storms, and basically before he can go back to get his girl, he was imprisoned in stone. And then, well, this is all read to us by a professor in modern day. He is possessed by a demon while reading this story, and he goes about wanting to get the sword so he can destroy it, because once the sword is destroyed, the two demons can come out and wreak their havoc and get their long-lost brothers, the dragons. Obviously, the research for paranormal department gets involved. This is where Hellboy, Sherman, and Abe Sapien come into the picture. And I really wanted to like this movie because I do like both Hellboy movies, but this movie's filled with so much filler and so much plot that really has nothing to do with anything. Before we get into that, just the three main characters, Liz Sherman, Hellboy, and Abe Sapien, are all represented in this movie with the voice actors from the live action movie. Ron Perlman does Hellboy, Selma Blair does Liz Sherman, and Doug Jones does Abe Sapien. That's one of the bright spots in this. The voice acting is good. Unfortunately, the story's a huge letdown. Like I said, animation is pretty good. It looks really nice. I'm not gonna lie on that part. I will say one thing about the animation as compared to the live action. This is the Hellboy depicted in this cartoon is far closer to the comic book than the movie. In the movie, they portray Hellboy having natural legs. In this movie, they portray him as having hooves because he is a demon. So that's one thing to say. It's a little bit different take on him. I do have to say I like the animation, especially on Abe Sapien. Whenever he blinks, there are subtle moments in the animation when he blinks. They don't blink up and down like me and you. They blink left and right like he does in the movies. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that. There's little details to the animation like that. That is really good. But and they do well as far as the voice acting. That's it. The story's a bit of a mess, as there is a fight scene at the very beginning of the movie that's literally there for no reason. It has no bearings on the plot. It's never referred to. It is kind of, but you kind of have to pay attention to it to see what it's talking about. But even then, it still doesn't really mean much to the main plot. And there's a horrible decision at the very beginning of the movie to split Hellboy up from Abe and Liz. Once they come back from this whatever mission in South America, they automatically tell Liz and Abe to stay behind while Hellboy goes with another detective by the name of Kate to Japan to check up on what's going on. Now, where they should have went with him. What happens when they get there is Hellboy happens to find these sort of storms, and he gets taken to a different plane where he has to find out through detective style what's happening in this movie, or how to get out of this fairy tale land. And where that should have been the whole movie, the movie is stuck with a secondary plot of Abe and Liz trying to get to the Japan, getting stopped, and really having battles that lead to nothingness. Then there's a secondary plot where there are two, Agent Cade and this other psychic person is in the real world trying to figure out where Hellboy is. That really leads to nothing. This movie should have just been the main villain of the movie, you know, the professor that's been possessed by a demon, setting up all these roadblocks for Hellboy, and him advancing to the story to figure out what he must do to get back to the real world, as well as to defeat the demons. And it's filled with these other two subplots that really mean nothing to the main story. I can tell you right now that even at the end, when there are two battle sequences going on, Hellboy fighting the two demons, Thunder and Lightning, and Abe and Liz fighting some sea creature, and once Hellboy wins, the sea demon goes away, and we never see Liz and Abe again. They never hook up. We never see anything with Hellboy again. That storyline was there literally for no reason, just to take up time. It wasn't that good. I was kind of hoping. I realized it wasn't written by Guillermo del Toro, so I'm happy about that. But it was written by Mike Mignola, the creator of the movie, or the characters. So it was really disappointing in that front. The story was just a hot mess. It had no cohesion, and it had stuff that didn't have anything to do, and it should have had a lot more Hellboy in this movie. The movie called Hellboy, the Sword of Storms, did not that much Hellboy, and I think it really needed that. Especially, you have Ron Perlman there you have this character who's very sarcastic, very dry, and he's just not given enough to do in his own movie. Like, they should have done what made the movies great, where having all this stuff happen around Hellboy and having him comment on it in that very dry, very sarcastic way, but there's not enough of it. And I think that's one of the huge faults of this movie. As far as would I recommend it? No. Watch the two movies, you'll be fine. If you do watch it, don't expect to get much out of it. It's not really good, so that's all I can say. There are two of them. I'll be doing the other one later on. But as far as the Sword of Storms, I wouldn't recommend it. At best, 4.1. The animation's good. It's nice to have the characters reprise their role. When Hellboy gets to be Hellboy, it's kind of cool, but it's just bogged down with two extra stories that mean nothing, and then at the end of the movie, they really prove to be nothing, as they don't connect. So, I was deeply disappointed. That's it for now, so if you have any comments, write them down below. Like, share, subscribe. Until then, I will see you next time when I come with another movie review. Bye.